What's shaking, everybody? Alright, so last week we were in Toronto with the screen... Sorry, I gotta get this. Emmanuel's mobile poodle fluffing services. How may I direct your call? This is Jim's custom insult shop. How may I direct your call, you piece of... Hello, you've reached Whoopsie Woof for all your canine incontinence needs. What can I do for you today, sir?
Ralph here. Why, yes, I do represent Mr. Adrian Ellis, film composer. Oh, you would you? Alright. I'll have to negotiate the terms of this deal, but let me pass you over to my client so you can speak to him directly. Just a moment.
Hello, it's Adrian. Oh. Well, hello, Mr. Spielberg. Why, yeah. I'm very interested in doing your next major motion picture. Okay. Great. Well, I'll pass you back to Ralph and you guys can work out the details. Amazing. Look forward to it. Okay. Bye. So last week I was with the Screen Composers Guild in Toronto, Ontario, and again we were presenting the new model contract, the rates sheet, and the whole business toolkit as we're calling it. Full house at Harris Institute, downtown Toronto. A really great engaged crowd, amazing questions, and just an amazing time all around. So during the question and answer period, an interesting idea came up. One of the composers asked, should you act as your own agent or secretary? So the scenario is a client calls you up or a potential client calls you up and you have this whole idea of a front-facing kind of business that you're acting as. People were sharing stories of people they knew that would literally change the tone of their voice or the sound of their voice to be another person, and then at some point in the call they might say, oh yeah, let me just get so-and-so for you, and then you can have a call or you can talk to them directly. This was sort of within the context of an idea of negotiation and creating a bit of leverage for yourself as a composer with your clients or potential clients. I do like the spirit of the thing. I like this idea that you're just hustling and you're doing whatever it takes to get work and to get some sort of footing in the industry and build a sense of reputation. But I think the way that I sort of phrased the question was, do you really want to be responsible for and having to maintain this scaffolding of lies? I mean, at some point in the future, you have to imagine that like a comedy situation, there's going to be some sort of misstep on your part or some collision of some kind that's going to mean that you're caught in the lie. And then what are you going to do then? In the meantime, I also think there's this idea of principled negotiation, which means that instead of seeing the person you're negotiating against is someone you're trying to collaborate with. So instead of seeing them as an enemy or as an adversary, principled negotiation suggests that two parties are coming together that each have their own needs, and you're trying to figure out a way to meet the needs of everyone in a win-win kind of situation. If you're interested in more about that, there's a great book called Getting to Yes, which, I mean, just Google it or look on Amazon. It's a great sort of overview of that entire approach, if you will. Okay, so let's get back to this idea of whether you should act as your own agent or secretary. So my feeling was, no, you shouldn't. Mostly because of this idea of the fact that you're essentially telling a lie and you're not being forthcoming with your potential clients or the people that you're dealing with. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that on a day-to-day basis. I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that this perception that people had of me and my business wasn't reality, that it was something that I was inventing. But on the other hand, business is a game. I mean, everything about business is about some sort of mythology or a narrative that we're telling. Like, what is a brand? What is our idea about, a company or a person? Especially when you're talking about celebrity or fame, there's a very specific thing that happens that people are always attempting to sort of build this big story about who they are, what they do, and how great and glamorous and amazing it all is, so that you in turn want to be part of that, want to buy their show, buy their product, and just participate in some way in that energy that they've created. So what's going on specifically when you're acting as your own agent or pretending that you have a front desk at your business when you actually don't. The principle is something called authority. The best example is when you go into a doctor's office and you see the MD. This person is someone that you're going to listen to. They're going to give you advice. They're going to do all these procedures. They're at a level in medicine and understanding of medicine that you're not at, and they have an authority because they have that plaque on the wall. They've gone and gotten their PhD. They've done all these things, and you see them as being up here. So how can you not tell a lie or not create this fiction about what you're doing, but still apply the principles of authority? So a phrase that I've been living by for quite a long time is, the first step to being is pretending. I love this because it basically says, and I think this is true, that you aren't just sort of born a certain way. People don't just come out being this amazing, accomplished, together kind of person. You become that slowly over time by applying certain behaviors over and over again, certain habits, certain strategies, until that becomes the person you are. In the beginning, you may not be that person. Right? So when you look at an accomplished athlete or an amazing artist, they weren't always that person. They became that person by consistently working and doing the same thing until everyone agreed, yes, you are great, you are this person. And then that in turn feeds a feedback loop that confirms for that person internally, psychologically, yes, I am this person. So the first step to being is pretending. This means that if you don't feel confident about something, you're going to look at what a confident person does, or imagine what a confident person would do, and then you just do that thing. It's about a behavior, it's about the way you look, it's about the way you walk, it's about how you hold yourself. So let's go back to our example. Let's say you're pretending to be your own agent, and a potential client calls and says, okay, we have this project, and here's the timeline, and here's the budget. And what you do as your agent is go, well, I'm going to have to discuss that with my client, so I'll get back to you. So basically what you're doing is you're borrowing some leverage from this fiction of your being an agent so that you can have a little bit of a leg up in that negotiation. So what's the alternative? What are you going to do if you're not pretending to be your own agent and you're just going to do it yourself? Well, let me give you a few examples of things that might happen in negotiation and the kinds of ways that you can react instead. One of the things that might happen in negotiation is there's a time constraint created where they say, look, you have to make a decision right now. So they're trying to make you feel a little bit of pressure, and every time you should absolutely resist that temptation to say yes. Because again, there's a psychological built-in circuitry that says when someone asks you for something, you really feel like you should say yes, and saying no is very difficult. So here comes the part where you're going to create a bit of authority for yourself. The person creates a sense of time constraint for you, which is a negotiation tactic. The easiest way to get around a negotiation tactic is to simply call them on it and say directly, I know you're trying to create a bit of a time constraint for me here, but I am actually going to need to take a look at this, and I'll get back to you in about 3 days. Or whatever it is that you decide is the necessary time requirement for you. Even better, in that same situation, if you can take a moment and not respond, but just sit there and maybe smile at them for a few seconds, that creates a sense of authority. It says, I'm not going to be easily cowed, I'm not going to just jump on whatever you say, and I'm not just going to react when you put something in front of me. That's the kind of thing you can do for yourself. And yes, it's not easy, but with practice and with visualization, you can definitely get there. The added benefit to this versus, say, pretending to be somebody else is that you're actually building your own self-confidence. You're getting better at things as you go along. It's a self-improvement process that not only helps you in your business, but actually also helps you in your life. And I think for that reason, it's a much better approach. Alright, hope you guys found this interesting. Hit me in the comments below and let me know what you guys think of the whole idea of being your own agent or front desk service. Either way, do you think it's a good idea, bad idea, and what are your negotiation tactics, or what are your tactics to create a bit of authority for yourself? Please hit like if you like this video, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.